Okay. Now we will go ahead and talk about a few more things in EIS product factory. Now, till now, what we have seen is so this is our EIS. So suppose EIS gave us this EIS. EIS, we call it base product. So because this is the product which is provided as a base by EIS to us, and on top of that we are going to do our development. Within the base we also saw that there is a product, there are multiple products given to us, policy products we are talking about. One of the product could be life insurance, or
Yeah.
it could be anything related to insurance. It could be disability insurance, like in our case. Okay, disability insurance product. Uh, now, this is the product which is provided to us by base, right? And this particular product has multiple uh, components inside that, right? Multiple workspaces and multiple components of different types, correct?
Correct.
Huh? Question?
Nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
Okay. So these are different components what we have, and each component has different attributes inside those components, correct? Now this
Yes.
thing is clear, right? Now, now comes the question that so base has provided us some components, and inside those components there are attributes. Now suppose we are going to work on something like business. This product is being used by a business, and let me utilize this one. So suppose this one, this product is now owned by Liberty, right? And Liberty, actually, let me Liberty, uh, or suppose a principal owns this product now. Uh, Actually, can you bring in Karthik also here? Pankaj, can you ping him?
Okay.
Let me join meeting. Save meeting. Okay. Now, this thing is clear. Like this product is developed by EIS. They have. Or let Karthik also join. Let me. Can you guys confirm once Karthik also is here?
Uh,
Karthik,
just
you are here. Okay. Karthik is also here now, right?
yeah.
Hey, Karthik. So now
I,
what I was discussing with the team, no? So they are given with the EIS product. Now EIS developed this product, which is known as EIS product. Okay. Now within that EIS product, you will have multiple products. One is disability insurance. Similarly, you can have life insurance product, right? Any other
yes.
product. Uh, so you are already aware about that. Within the product, you will have multiple workspaces, multiple tabs. All these tabs what we see in our policy, right? If you remember, Karthik, in our policy, when we go into the data gather mode, there are different type of tabs we have. Correct.
Yes. Yes.
So those tabs we are talking about, like each workspace has those tabs, and within each workspace we have multiple components. Like under policy we have first the policy component, and then we have the discount component, correct? And then
Yes.
we have the case manager. So those are nothing but components, correct?
Yes.
And now what we are going to talk about next is these are the components provided to us by base itself. Like when I say base, means EIS has provided us this product, and they have provided us some default workspaces, default tabs, and default components, right? But suppose if we don't have a tab, uh, we need to add a new tab. Like now, say principal comes to us and they say, like we need this particular tab in our EIS product. We currently is not provided by EIS based product or the pre-configured product, we call it. Okay, so this pre-configured product which was provided by base to us, disability insurance product, it doesn't have the CM dashboard tab, for example, right?
Okay.
So principal what they did is they developed that product. Okay, so base product, they take it base product and they do a further development on the base product. Okay, and they customize that product. Okay, let's use this one. So this product looked like this, and now this product is going to look like this, a different product, because it is different from the one which is supplied by base or EIS, customized by principal. In this case, principal is a insurance company which has bought EIS based product.
Okay.
Okay, and on top of whatever is provided by EIS base, they are doing customization based on their requirement. Like they have added the CM dashboard tab, and they also have added that risk assessment tab. Actually, it was not provided by base. Okay, clear till now?
Yes.
Now the next question comes, like uh, okay, if the base has not provided us this requirement, like whatever business requires, like principal requires some changes in the product, but it is not provided by base. So what happens in that case is that we as a developer, okay, we will have to add that particular component or the field or the tab which is already not present in the system, but business needs that particular component or field or the workspace. Correct. Now let me actually give you an example and it will be more clear to you guys. Let me open this particular code what I have, and let's see if it works. So now we are talking about how do we do our development. So in the last session what we saw was the configuration, like base has provided that field already. Base has provided that policy component. Inside that component we have the country code, and business, if they say like we need that component, so we will have to include it in our component by going to the product factory and including that particular component. But
Yeah.
suppose now principle says that some of the base provided component or the attribute we don't need, so we just go to the com- product and we
Components.
deselect that.
Okay.
Okay, now what we are talking about is that was the configuration part of it. Okay, configuration comes when base has already provided us the component or the attribute which we can include on top of the existing field or the components. Pankaj, are you getting like the
Yes.
configuration and the development difference?
Mhm.
Configuration is something base has already provided. The EIS already has provided you this component, and there is actually is an attribute also which is not included at this moment, but we want to include it. So all we need to do is go to policy tab in our admin section and include that field, like the way we can include country
Yes. Yes. Yes.
or any other field. That is the customization. Okay, anything what you are doing here in the product factor, that is called customization.
Customization.
And
Include.
now since you guys are a little bit familiar with the system, I will show you the code base also, and then you will be
Unlock it
more
first.
clear.
Unlock it.
Sorry, I could not hear that, Pankaj.
Unlock it first. Unlock.
That's fine. I don't want to make any changes right now. I am just going to show
Sure.
you like the change. So right now I'm in the master policy. Let me go to the root uh, default policies root. Okay, now here I am in the policy tab. Now if you see, this is the UI, but how would I see that this particular code in my code base, right?
Yeah.
For that, it's very very simple. First let me clear that thing, that what system does. For every component, it has created a configuration file which we call it policy.xml or the component name .xml file. And if you see, the path of this particular file would be under the product component configurations. See here, it is under component configurations. Now let me open this particular file. Actually, we are talking about not 800 product, but disability income policy product. So let me open this file, but there, because there are two products in the system, right?
Yes.
So we will have to make sure that we select the file for the right product. Now this is our product. Let me show you. It's very simple file. Okay, all the configurations mostly are done in your XML files, properties file, you know, so that system can read these files and uh, run some parser on those XML file and read those configurations and execute it in the background. That is the purpose of a configuration file. Okay.
Okay.
In the Spring also you might have seen, Pankaj, right now application.properties file we use. That is a
Yes.
configuration file, correct?
Yeah.
Whatever property we provide, system reads those properties and accordingly does something.
Yes.
Right. Similarly, policy.xml is a configuration file, and the name and the path also suggest. If you see the path, it is under our product, and then source main resources product and the product name, and then under that product name we have component configurations in the last path, right? And then we have the policy component name. Now let me show you how it looks in the code base. And there are actually multiple uh, components here. You see, every component has a configuration file. There are so many components available in the system, and those are all the under component configuration files. And this is our product, disability income, and under that we have our product configuration under policy product. Okay. The path also is a little bit important for us to understand, because everything is segregated into its own part in the code base. So once you understand this structure, it will be very easy for you to understand how we have defined our code base. you know if we can separate out all the modules, so something like, see, what they have done in the code base. So for policy, they have created a separate module under the main product. Okay. Similarly, they have created a CRM, which is our customer relationship management module. So all the changes what you are seeing for your customer in the policy, like right now I'm in the quote, but if you go to customer, right,
Yes.
all the changes for the customer would be under CRM module. Similarly, for billing, like all this billing tab, they have put it under this module, billing. Okay, similarly, for claims, there would be another thing. Right now, they don't have the code for claims uh, in the principal product, because they didn't buy it from, I think, EIS. But generally, if you see, here will be a claims module also. Okay. And this is the general application product, where you make the general changes about all the applications, like other than the steps, you want to make some changes in your the entire platform or the application. For that, there is this application module. So here I just want to show you the structure of the code here. Okay. So our code regarding the products will be placed under products. All the changes what you are making in the product will be under products. So right now there are two products we have: disability income and disability income 800. Ignore the other things for now. These are different things they are trying to create, but there will be. So suppose if I'm creating life insurance product, there will be a separate or different folder created for that also. Okay, life insurance or anything other than disability and life. Suppose it could be any car insurance, so for that you will have vehicle insurance or the auto insurance folder created here. So very simple. Again, you don't have to get confused. This is our code base. At the top or at the root, we have the main product. Okay. We have named it as IDI, means Individual Disability Insurance EIS app. Okay. Under that, we have different modules, like we have billing, claim, customer, we have policy, and then we have product, where we have defined our product. Okay. Now let me go back to disability income. This is where we have our product defined. And if you remember this policy XML, this is a component configuration file, right? So it should be under somewhere under this product only, like disability income, and then under disability income you have your disability income policy product, and then under disability income policy product you have your different things, and then you have your component configurations. Okay, under that you have policy.xml. This is little background on the code base, how it is structured. Any questions in this part? This is just a structure, but structure is very important for you to understand, because when you are making any code changes, you will have to make it in a respective module. Like, if suppose you are making any change for customer, you will have to make it under CRM, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it? If you are making any changes for policy, you have to make it under policy.
Policy.
Similarly, for product, you will have to make under product. Now let me come back to this policy.xml configuration file. It is a very simple file. Okay. And we will talk about other things also. Now, the configurations and development was something I was talking to you guys, that as part of configuration, we are only changing or only including or excluding the changes which is provided to us by base. Okay, by EIS. So either we are saying like we are including new field, or we are excluding new the field which is provided by EIS from the EIS UI. That is the configuration part. Now, so suppose, like what Pankaj did is, like, he removed single or multi-life question from policy. Single or multi-life question, right? So through the code, he has to just unselect that field, right? The field actually is still there, but it is not included in the UI. Okay. Now all this actually generates a configuration in the background for you. Okay, this is that configuration. Like, this XML file will be changed in the background. Okay, this should be very clear. Like, whatever changes you are doing in the UI, it has a corresponding configurations in the background, in the code base, isn't it?
Yes.
Like, nothing is a magic. Like, this UI, whatever you see here, uh, everything has a code in the background, right?
Mm.
Now, if you are doing any changes in your policy component, and you are saying, like, in the manage attributes, you are going to unselect few of these fields, and you are going to include some of the new fields, right? Here, same thing you can do in the code base also, instead of doing it in the UI, because at the end of the day, this configuration is going to change, right? Right. Even if you change it in the UI is to make our life easier. Like, all these configurations, we don't need to go and modify this XML, because this is prone to manual changes. Like, if we are changing it manually, there could be manual errors in this change. Whereas if
Yeah.
you do it from UI, it will be proper. There is no chance of manual error.
Failure.
Huh. Okay, now single or multi-life question. Let's see the attributes property. It's talk about additional attributes, disabled, mandatory. It would be somewhere like, visible. Displayed is true. Right now we say that it is displayed. So what Pankaj did is, he went to this field and he unchecked it. Now, by unchecking means, what we are basically saying is displayed indicators now should be false. So instead of doing that change in the
Code.
UI, what I am doing is I am doing it in the code. Same thing, but it's just a simple configuration file in the background, which I want to show you. You should be, as a developer, you should know that nothing is magic here. Everything is happening through the code, right? Whatever you see, everything is code. So I wanted to show you that whatever configurations you are doing to your component or the attribute is actually it generates a file for you. Now let's go back to the basics. We have now understood our product factory. We have seen like little bit of product factory, how it looks and how do we make the configuration changes. We also have seen our code base structure, like how our code is structured, you know and then after that we have also understood like how every change in your component in the product factory, it actually has a basic corresponding configuration file in the background or in the code base. Let me know if any questions till here.
Coaching, we are good coaching.
Okay, nice to hear that. So everything is clear. Now let's now go back to the basics. Now the question you must have now at this stage is how these components are defined, how this policy component is defined. Now this is a configuration file where I can make the change, but where is this everything is started from? What is the base, what is the underlying definition of these components, where are we defining these components? This should be your question at this stage. Like okay, we see this, all these configurations about the policy component. I can go ahead in the UI and change this configuration here. We can include the existing fields or exclude or the existing fields from here. But where is this component coming from for me, right?
Yeah.
Pankaj, if you have some idea. And
But
now I think, do you have any idea about where this component is coming from? Where is this defined? In a Spring project, where would you define your components? Where would you define your main objects?
main object like entity class now.
Entity class.
Entity class is fine. That entity class is nothing but your domain specific. Like it will take your data to the database. So that is your entity class. But
No, no,
here,
if XML configuration is required, that time we can mention inside the XML configuration also now.
what is that name of that XML configuration file?
Application context.
No, not application context is your, when you are running your application
Suppose
context.
something name dot like bin.xml, yeah,
Ah,
something dot XML.
Actually, it will be available to your correct, Pankaj. Both of you are correct, actually. Application context, whoever said that.
Mm.
Actually, your application context is aware of your policy component. Correct. That is why it is able to show you when you are in your application. Your application context is aware of it and it loads. It here also it loads and it also loads when you go to the product factory. But how do you make your application context aware of this component is available? Is that you do it in the Spring Bean by defining it in a Spring Beat, as Pankaj said. These
Yes,
are defined in
in ID and class.
correct. Now, what I'm going to show you, Pankaj, you can relate to it because now at the end of the day, the application what I'm showing you, this application is nothing but our a Spring application.
Yes.
Okay,
Mm.
whatever concepts are there for your Spring application or whatever concepts are applied or applicable for your Spring project are also available for your EIS app.
Okay.
That is why I have been focusing that you guys go ahead and read about Spring application concepts. So all the concept whatever is applicable to your Spring. Now if you know Spring, I can say you that uh, most of the things here, like 50% things I can guarantee you, like the things are similar, or like, because it's the same application, it's nothing but a Spring application. Now let's go ahead and see where is this particular policy component defined in a Spring bean file. Now the beans file, if you know, it ends with bean dot star bean dot xml. You can name it anything. uh, Policy star beans dot xml, sorry, my mistake. It's beans dot xml. Okay, let's see where this component is defined, and then we will talk more about it. Policy, and then let me put it more filtration so that it will be available. uh, id equals blue. Let's do this also. Go back one step and see how this is defined. Name should
Inside
be
the XML configuration file,
uh,
there
name
value
equals
attribute
to
is there.
policy. I don't know the name of the Spring Bean file, so I will have to go by this route, or pfg policy, policy. Now I see policy adapter. Yes, all these files, and not here. Actually, it is in the scope. This is a base file. I was searching it in project, and name is equal to policy. Let's see. Policy DAO, policy DAO, billing DAO. Give me 1 second. Let me rating service. Property name would be policy only. Star component. This actually is a base component, so I'm having problem in finding it. Let's take some other component as an example. Or okay, Spring app selected scope. Policy DAO is not available. Let's say ID equals to policy. Uh, uh, uh. Okay. For some reasons, I'm not able to find. Let's take another example. I will try to do it offline and then let you know. PFG DI policy services be something like component bean will also be there, where you will have that component defined. So this one is services. There is no component. PFG pole commission component beans. Let me open this one. Yeah, this one is the one, pre-configured policy. Okay, then they have named it as like pre-config policy. So the component name we were trying to search was policy, but if you see this keyword here, pre-config, you'll have to understand this. Pre-config means so suppose in this one I was talking about base provides us some components, right? Those are called pre-configured. This, if you talk about the product also, disability insurance, so whatever product is provided by EIS, that product is called base product or pre-configured product. Pre-configured means it's pre-configured means पहले से configure. In Hindi, right, we say like pre means uh, before only, and then
Inner.
configured means it's configured. So
Mm.
it's already configured. It's pre-configured by base. That is why we are saying wherever you see pre-config word, understand that this particular thing is provided to us by base
Yes.
or EIS. Pre-config, or if you see prac also means pre-configured. Okay, so just be very clear. Like whenever you see these keywords, means it is from base. Now this is where I think this, if you guys know Spring, right, it will be more familiar to you, this file. So now what is this?
Yes, yes, sir.
This
I
is a Spring Bean file.
Mm.
This bin is under PFG policy components. Now I'm trying to define my component. I'm under policy, and for policy I'm trying to define this component. That is my policy component, and it is defined by pre-configured, means base only has given us this component, and this is the ID, pre-configured policy component 10. That is the ID, and the name of this is pre-configured policy component. Actually, I could have had gone here also and see the component name, and then that would have cleared me, like, what is the name of this particular component. And actually, it's PFG disability policy. So one more property that I will come to it later, but does it give you any comfort here, like, how easy it is to define your components using Spring Beans? Now, whatever
So
you define,
actually, sir, I have a question. Like a bin ID. This is a bin ID. This is a class name. What is a parents?
a parent
Like
is this smart
yeah,
component.
class is like a full package name with class name.
Correct.
Mm.
So
What is a
when you
parents?
are defining your beans, right, Spring Beans,
Yeah.
like the way you define your Java classes,
Mm.
they can also have the uh, properties coming from or inheriting from the parent class, isn't it?
Yeah.
The same way, when you are defining your Spring Beans,
Mm.
you are defining the structure of the component or structure of the object.
Mm.
Now that structure of the object can also come from the super bean. Like, you have already defined a smart component template for me, which I can further go ahead and utilize that and create my own Spring Bean components. I can make that as a my parent, and then I can start configuring my bean. So it works similar way, like the way we are inheriting the properties of a class into a subclass. Same way, we are trying to inherit all the properties of this this bean uh, in the bean which we are trying to define here. So this is, in a way, is a super bean. Like we have super class in our Java, we have a
Mm.
super bean here in our Spring Bean. Okay, same concept, everything is same. It's just you are extending the further extending further all the properties defined in this into a new component. Okay, and this I will also show you, like, when we are saying we do the development. Now suppose uh, business or principle, in this case principle comes back to us that they say in the policy component they also want one component, one attribute, suppose rate ID. Now that is not provided to us by base. How do we do that? The way to do it is to further extend this bean into another bean, and which I can show you actually right now also. uh, in project, now go to in project, and pre-config policy. The name is this. Beans. Let me get the component from here. So see, PFG also defined or principle. They also extended this component into this one. See, this is the one. Let me open this one. So what PFG done, no? If they want to include any new component in this particular component and any new attribute, what they did, they changed the parent to pre-config health policy component. Actually, this is another component in between disability income policy component. Now this is specific to PFG, but it also inherits all the properties of your parent. So all the fields, whatever you define in the base, will automatically come to this bean, and further you can write a few more fields and try to get it. Okay, let me show you some entries what they have added here. Attributes metadata. This app type code they added. Okay, I think this Karthik will know this application type code, right? Where we see the application whether it is GSI or disability income, right?
Hybrid, yeah.
That is a field added by PFG people. It was not provided by base.
Okay.
Similarly, we have product series, unisex, and then endorsement action. All these fields are added by PFG here. These were not provided by base. But let me discuss this thing later on, Pankaj. So you are clear, right? How we are extending a component.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Right now, actually, we are extending a health policy document. But if you see health policy document, they're further doing this policy component 2.0 and then policy component 2.0. If you further see, they are actually going to inherit what we see. Policy component 2.0 and the parent of this in the scope. Let me search here. So see, pre-config health component, they are doing this, and this one is again doing the smart component template. So actually they are extending this one policy component and not the one which I was showing you, policy component, this one pre-config policy component one version 1.0. They are extending 2.0. Okay.
Yes.
But this is the game of extending like the way you do our Java classes, right? To add more properties. So how it happened for them? Policy component version 2 beans. So this is our base smart component template. Policy component 2.0 extended this, and then policy component 2.0 was further extended by pre-config health component policy component 1.0, and this pre-config health policy component 1.0 was further extended by PFG disability income policy component. Okay. Now if you want, you can extend it one more, but I think there is some level of extension that you can extend it number by only 3 times or 5 times. Some limit is there that other then if you extend it more than 5 times, then your performance goes for a toss. Okay, your Spring application will be very busy doing all these things, and your it will take a toll on your performance, and your program will get slow. So they recommend that you only do it at 5 time extension maximum. Now so let me come back to the question which I started from. Now by seeing this Spring Bean, is it giving you guys some comfort that this is where we are defining our components, and this is your familiar area, right?
Yes.
So you just define a bean, and you are saying that my bean should be parent should be this, so that whatever properties are already defined for me, I already get those properties into my bean, and then I define the class for my component, and then from that component class, we also need a policy entity here. The entity what you were talking about, Pankaj, that entity is how this components data will be stored in EI database. Right now, this is a policy component. It has a corresponding data table, right? All of this data I am including it here. It will actually go and sit somewhere in the database, right? All
Yes.
the data I am correcting when I'm doing a save. So this is the job of this policy entity class. If it is a very simple class. The most simplest class which could be there in any Java code is an entity class, where you only define the fields. It doesn't do anything. It just define the field, all the fields whichever is there in your policy entity, just declaring those and creating a setter and getter for those fields. Okay, this policy entity is a bigger one because it has multiple fields, as we have seen here, and we have seen in the manage attributes. There are multiple fields here, for this particular policy. So that's why it is a big file. But policy entity, the job of this is to collect the data from the UI uh, and take it into the database. Okay, and if you see at the top, there will be a table mentioned. Uh, if not here, if I go to the
Yeah,
parent,
added entity,
uh,
class name, same name as the table name.
correct, this is the same entity, and see, if you see, the table is this one.
Yes. Yeah.
This is a table policy summary. If you go into your database, you will see that this is a table which collects all this data. And so, see, this is very simple thing, but people try to complicate it, and people get scared that what it is, but it is very simple at the end of the day. If you see, here in your UI, you have a workspace is nothing but build up of tabs is nothing but is a combination of one or the more components, and component is nothing but a combination of attributes. Okay, and component is your basic building block of your EIS screens. Correct. This policy is one component, then discount, and then case contact. All of these are contact, and this defining these components is very simple. Like, you do just all have to do is have to define a bean, and you tell the name, version, component type, and then you define uh, the attributes. Like, there is this property names attribute metadata. Under this property, you define all the attributes whatever you need. Like, I need an attribute quick quote indicator, and the data type has to be boolean, like, yes or no it will be, and then order number is 0, and all those things you define. Label, this will be type of code, this is how it will be shown in the UI, and this is the name, and the path to entity field is basically where it is in my entity, so you are giving that. Similarly, you define one more attribute here, imported, and the attribute type is data type string. You define some label source, and all those things, like what is the order number, it should be at order number 1, like ordering of these fields in the UI, like 0, 1, 2, all these ordering. Okay, like source cannot be before policy type because the order is number 4, or whatever is the number order, so that is the order. And then path to entity field is again where it is defined in your entity. So this is the example I am giving you of a Spring Bean, how a component is defined in the system, and how you can extend it and create. So maybe extending, I will talk about it in the next session. But here, just I want to give you an idea that this is nothing magic. This is simple Spring application for you. And once you define your bean and you start your application, right? Your application context has the knowledge of this Spring Bean now. Whatever all the Spring Beans you have defined, and you start your Spring application, you basically your application now has knowledge of all the components you have defined here. Okay, a very good point that somebody had put about application context. Application context is prepared when you prepare your application, when you bring your application up. Okay, any questions? What is a Spring Bean? And how it is used to define your components and different attributes. There are multiple other properties which you can ignore for now. Only thing you will have to think about right now is extending the parent component to get all the properties of component. Then you have a policy entity which will take your data from the UI to the database, right? And then you are defining all the attributes under attributes metadata. Okay. If suppose I need to add one more, I just copy the existing one. Okay, and depending on the name and the ID, whatever is the purpose of that particular field, suppose rate ID, all I need to do is just create one more, define the order, say suppose like 50 I want it in the last number. Label should be rate ID, and the data type is suppose boolean. Yeah, just give me an example. It could be a number, because rate ID is an integer, so it could be a number or an integer, whatever. And you are giving it a name or ID, uh, right? And it should be path to entity. You have to define it in your entity also, and then the path to entity you have to give something like whatever way you define it in your entity. Very very simple thing. Now by defining this, I'm saying that my component has an extra field here, okay, which will be rate ID. Let me change it, rate ID, and this will be labeled as rate ID. It is a numeric number type of field, where you can enter your a number in the UI. Like here, the data type of this is string, but this data type of this field is date, right? Similarly, backdating is a boolean field for me, yes or no, correct? Okay, so the data type, you are aware, right? What is the data type of a field? So in my, it's very easy job, but this one I will talk about it in next session, like how do we add uh, a new field to an existing one. Okay, for now I will just do a rollback.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
guys, does it give you any comfort that it is a Spring application, and I am going to use, there is nothing magic that is happening, and in the background there is a configuration file for each component, and how we define this component is using Spring Bean. Any confusions, any questions?
Hmm.
Okay, so I will stop the recording for now. Let me stop the recording. I will share the recording with you guys.